Hey there, welcome to another Magic the Gathering Arena match, this time in standard play using the red-white deck again. Now this match was particularly interesting and fun because I had to double mulligan my hand at the beginning. So instead of starting with the traditional 7 cards at the outset, I was reduced to 5, mainly because of poor draws the first 2 times, not enough mana, too many creature cards, not the right setup that I was looking for, and had a really interesting turnout here. And, that's the one thing I'll say about the red-white deck is that it's not overpowering in any means. I'm not relying on gigantic mana cost creature cards, but a lot of more standard cards and using enchantments and auras and sorceries and instants effectively to really make the most of your relatively less impressive creature footprint. So without further ado, let's get into this exciting match. So off the break here, not looking too good. I got 2 land cards, too many creature cards to really make it make a lot of sense, so I'm going to try to mulligan again. Even worse this time. 1 mana, 4 creatures that I can't really deal with, so I hate doing this, but unfortunately I'm going to have to mulligan again. This looks a little bit better, a little bit better breakdown of mana versus creature cards and enchantments and things like that I can use. So I don't feel great going into this, but it's better than when I got the previous 2 times, so you'll never know until you try. So off the opening, I'm going to drop a Windscarred Crag. Gives me a tapped land and a little bit of extra life boost to sustain the probable hits I'm going to be taking throughout this match. Alright, my opponent plays a Starscape Cleric with Flying and Offspring. Drop another Windscarred Crag, 1 more boost to life, and now I'm setting myself up to have at least 2 mana to try to put up a fight in this case. Ahriman. More flying, Death Touch, that tends to be a problem. But let's see what we can do here. Let's get in there with, let's see what I have. We'll drop the Emberheart Challenger here. He has Haste and Valiant. Those should at least help me out a little bit with trying to make a dent here. I'm going to hold off on the attack for now until I really sort of figure out what I'm doing here and have a little bit of defense in case he starts to get aggressive. Now this Vengeful Blood Witch can become a real pain, especially since it's got lifesteal, and I'm having a feeling that this is going to be a pretty vampire heavy or at least lifesteal sort of intensive match. Off the break, taking 4 points of damage on the first turn. Not terrible, but still not feeling the best. So you can see I'm kind of weighing my options here. I'm going to give myself a extra land mana here so I can play around a little bit and hopefully cast a creature and an enchantment. Dropping Grand Ball Guest into the mix here. Kind of evaluating my options here, deciding on which creature I'd like to put these enchantments on. We're going to do Shardmaid's Rescue on the Emberheart Challenger, I believe. And there we go, we get a couple extra buffs here due to the innate abilities of the creature card itself. Hexproof, this should hopefully help me out in case he's got any sort of witchy spells that he's going to try to cast on me here. Off the break, I'm willing to attack here as well. He didn't seem to want to block. 4 points of damage, we've evened the score. As far as I'm concerned, the game is still up for grabs. The Masamune. Legendary Artifact Equipment. I'd be lying if I said I fully understand what this card does, but I am sure I will find out the hard way. Now I took 2 more points of damage there. I'm starting to get a little nervous. We're starting to tick down. I really have to make the most of this turn. Rather than stacking as many creatures as I can, I think it might be time to start investing to beef up some of my existing cards here. So we'll pop a Tali's Favor out here. Pop that onto my Emberheart Challenger, and as you can see, get a couple of stacking buffs here. Discover 3 cards. And look at that. Got a lucky draw here. We're going to pull out, I think, Burst Lightning. I'm not going to kick it. I'm just going to use 2 points of damage to try to thin out his advantages here. I'm more worried about that Ahriman card more than anything else due to the Death Touch, so we're going to get that out of the equation, buffing my challenger up to 6/6 and reducing his creature defense down to 2. And you'll see here too that that lifesteal really came into play here, because now we're looking at a 17-12 split, where just a second ago it was 16-16. I'm going to go full attack here and knocked it down to 9 points. I don't want to have a false sense of confidence here, but I'm starting to feel like my prospects may be turning around, but there's really no promises. And as we see again, I'm still pretty much a newly returning individual to the Magic game, so taking my time to read the cards, understand what I'm working with, against, thinking about some strategy here, but ultimately I'm just kind of sitting here sweating, waiting until he drops the hammer on me. So we got 2 Starscape Clerics out in the front here, 2 Vengeful Blood Witches, which is going to be really big pain as the lifesteal starts to come into effect. It's time to beef up some of my competitors here. Let's see what we got. I think it's time to start stacking ethereal armor. Yeah. And right there you can see I'm going to get some multiple buffs out of this, bringing up my Emberheart Challenger to 8/8. And all of a sudden I don't really feel too bad right now. Couple that with a Feather of Flight, boosting both of my creature cards out here. Now I have an 11/10 with Trample, Flying, and First Strike. And a Grand Ball Guess with Trample, another enchantment on top, boosting him to 14/13. Let's see what my opponent does here. Yep, and there it is, just a show of force before you know it. Didn't even have to attack, boosted it up enough in that one turn to show him that there was really no way he was making it out of that. And I can't quite comprehend how I pulled this one off. Maybe it was luck, maybe it was a little bit of foresight. I like to think I have like 10% knowledge of what I'm doing, but as you'll see here, just overwhelming amount of attacks here, and as I like to call it, just a really strong show of force that forced his hand, and we had a gentleman's agreement, decided to withdraw. I respect it completely. Fun match, good game, and couldn't be happier with how this turned out. And there you have it, folks. Thanks so much for watching and following along. I really hope you enjoyed, learned something new, or found plenty of things that I did wrong. So for real, feel free to drop some comments below and let me know what I missed, or how you would have approached this differently, or just flat out insult me. I mean, at this point, I just crave human interaction, so I'll take it all. Until next time.